Okay, chapter 4, tracing what's missing in James. I have grappled with reconciling the teachings of James and Paul throughout my Christian life, striving to maintain a clear conscience on this matter. Whenever I attempted to share various viewpoints with other Christians, their reactions were exceedingly extreme. I have endeavored to reconcile James and Paul over the years, considering traditional interpretations. The most common one suggests that James addresses justification before men, whereas Paul discusses justification before God in Romans 3:28. Yeah, that's crap. However, this traditional interpretation does not resonate with me. It does not seem fitting. As we will see when we examine this view, it produces a set of theological problems of its own. Amen. For a time, I contemplated whether James was referring to a present tense salvation. In Philippians, Paul states, "For I know that this shall turn to my salvation through your prayer and the supply of the Spirit of Jesus Christ, according to my earnest expectation and my hope, that in nothing I shall be ashamed, but that with all boldness as always, so now also Christ shall be magnified in my body, whether it be by life or by death. For me to live is Christ, and to die is gain." Philippians 1:19-21. 19 through 21. Amen. Paul sets the magnification of Christ in him as a pattern for the present tense salvation that he encourages the believers to work out by God's operation in them in chapter 2. 12 through 15. "Wherefore, my beloved, as you have always obeyed, not as in my presence only, but now much more in my absence, work out your own salvation with fear and trembling. For it is God which works in you, both to will and to do his good pleasure. Do all things without murmurings and disputings, that you may be you may be blameless and harmless, the sons of God, without rebuke in the midst of a crooked and perverse nation, among whom you shine as lights in the world." He speaks of shining as a luminary in this world, a manifestation of present tense salvation, testifying before men and upholding the word of life in this age rather than being consumed by his own troubles and issues. This is a form of salvation that is fully positive, where Christ is glorified and exalted in his members. I consider the possibility that this is what James refers to, not ultimate salvation, but present tense salvation that benefits others through acts like helping the poor, considering one's brother, and avoiding divisions in the church based on wealth. James 2:1-9. James' language here has none of the positive glory that Paul does. With Paul, there is no threat, no carrot or stick. There is merely the exaltation of Christ, who makes every situation, even negative things, a platform for the gospel. The view that James is speaking of a temporal or present tense salvation is held by many, but I found that it is full of sin consciousness and law orientation. Amen. And James 2, referring not to the positive magnification of Christ at all. Rather, it implies a merit system of avoiding punishments and working for wages that Paul says we died to in order to bear fruit unto God. Romans 7:1-4 and Galatians 2:19. It is the motivational system of slaves, not the portion of sons and heirs. When we explore this view in later chapters, we will see that the commentaries that advocate it do actually assert that it is according to the principle of law, blessings, and cursing. This is not the character of salvation presented by Paul, Peter, or John, where these things are still hanging over our head. Still, why must I develop such convoluted explanations to reconcile James within this theological framework? It should not be so difficult, especially when considering the plain narrative text of the book of Acts, which provides context for James. Amen.